Hello everybody. If you see the title, you know that we are letting prompts choose my reads for the week. This is because I did not let prompts choose my May TBR. I chose a spinning wheel and I chose all Kindle books. And now that we are in May, the Kindle books are on the table. But I primarily did that because we're going on a nearly 2-week trip later in the month and I don't want to bring any physical books. But we're currently in the beginning of May as I'm filming this, and I would like to choose prompts. I think it's fun. I'm going to choose one every time I want to read a new book this week. I have my book cart. Maybe we should move to the ground. So I also have 3 library books up here. Those are also up for grabs. I would love to be able to choose one of these. If nothing, absolutely nothing fits, physical, Kindle, or library, I will choose a new prompt. I'm not going to buy a new book to read today or whatever. So just so you know, I'll put it back in the jar. So let's go for it. Title starts with the first letter of the current month. Okay. You know why this is annoying? Because I'm filming this on the last day of April. I was just going to start a book today and pretend that I started it tomorrow for my reading journal purposes. So I think I have to just start with an A, because I can't lie. It's not May yet. It's May tomorrow. That's so annoying. Okay. A. I have one. We are reading Anatomy. A love story. I believe this is a duology about a woman who can't be a doctor but wants to be a doctor, a surgeon specifically. After I bought this book, I realized it's not a heart, it's a woman in a dress, which I think is beautiful. Let me just read the synopsis because I saw someone read this on YouTube probably over a year ago. When the two of them have a chance encounter outside the Edinburgh Anatomists Society, don't know why I said it that way, Hazel thinks little of it at first, but after she gets kicked out of lectures given by a renowned surgeon, Dr. Beecham, for being the wrong gender, she realizes that her new acquaintance Jack might actually be of use to her. Because Hazel has made a deal with Dr. Beecham, if she can pass the medical examination on her own, Beecham will allow her to continue her medical career, but without official lessons, Hazel will need more than just her books. She'll need corpses to study. Luckily, Jack digs them up for a living. Okay, that's all I'm gonna read. There's like 2 more paragraphs, but this is going to be the first book. Historical fiction, feminism, probably a little bit of mystery there if he's digging up bodies. I don't know, but this is going to be book 1. I don't recycle my prompts. I always throw them out so that I can start with new ones later because there are so many in here, but this is one that could change and that is kind of fun. Nah, I'm going to throw it out. I'll let you know when I start and what my initial feelings are. Okay, let's do an update. I am 90 pages in. Chapter 10 is next. There are, before every few chapters, these like articles from or about or something to do with Beecham, but I'm just seeing this one's from a newspaper. 6 more dead from mysterious illness. That's a change. All of them have been like from medical books and stuff, just to kind of start off that chapter section. And the chapters are really nice and short. So 10 chapters and 100 pages. I currently have mixed feelings about this book. I think it's really good and I'm interested and I'm definitely going to keep reading, but something about it has me skimming and then realizing I didn't read anything on that page and having to go back and restarting the page. And I don't know if it's to do with my current mood or with the book itself, because there's nothing that I can think of that would make me feel that way in the book, other than it does describe the same thing a few times. So our main character, Hazel, is a woman who wants to be a surgeon. I feel like that's all I said about this book because that's all I really knew. And then there's this guy named Jack who finds bodies for aspiring surgeons or doctors or whatever. And it's becoming a bigger problem because I feel like some of the guys who are doing it are going missing and some of the other ones are getting caught by the police. So it's a very dangerous job that he has given himself. But he says it's not more dangerous than being poor on the side of the road, which he would be if he wasn't making money. So he's kind of weighed the pros and cons. So he's our second main character. There's a lot less of him so far. But Hazel, her dad works away from home and her older brother passed away and her younger brother kind of gets all of the attention from her mom. And we have heard that in every variation constantly. In a lot of her chapters, it's like talking about how her mom doesn't notice her and about how her little brother's annoying and about how her older brother's dead. I already know, like, you can stop telling me that. That's the one thing that I can pinpoint as being annoying. But the story itself is actually pretty good. She just snuck in to watch a surgery live where only men are allowed, so she was hiding under the rafters to watch it, and Jack helped her. They just met, and he, for some reason, feels this pull to her that he doesn't expect, because he says he's not really talked to a lot of rich women, which she is. And now her mom wants her to go into society next year because she's about 17 years old, I think. And she's like, if your dad dies, your little brother gets the house. You have to marry someone with money, is kind of the situation that they're finding themselves in. That's kind of all I have for you. I am liking Jack's parts. I don't think this is going to be a favorite book. I'm not so obsessed with it. I am going to keep reading now for the remainder of the evening outside of making dinner. My last video, I was forcing myself to read constantly because it was how much I could read in 24 hours. And now I keep being like, oh, I forgot to start the timer, but I don't have to. I can just read for fun. I also couldn't find a bookmark upstairs, so I grabbed a Polaroid of me and Zach off the fridge, and that is my bookmark, which I kind of love. About to start chapter 26. I am 240 pages in. I read for like an hour before I started work this morning. It was so nice. Read on the deck with my morning coffee and breakfast. Got really good this morning. I am not doing that skimming thing anymore. We are not repeating things anymore. It says it in a synopsis, but Hazel was kicked out of her class because they found out that she was a woman. And there are two professors that teach this class, and one of them has a lot more faith in her than the other, and he's like, hey, figure out how to learn this material. If you pass the exam without taking our class, you can be my assistant, because I think women are capable and you were the best student in my class, basically is what he's saying, before the other professor found out that she was a woman. So that part is super interesting. And now there are a lot of people dying in the hospital. You kind of know what's going on. Everybody's like, this fever is back and people are dying from it and you need to be careful. But you as a reader can put the pieces together pretty easily. I don't think it's supposed to be a surprise what's happening, but it's not outright saying it because our characters don't know it and we're in their head. They're unreliable narrators, which is a good thing. So she's been kicked out of the class. She's now learning on her own. Jack is helping her get bodies, and I thought that would be a much bigger part of the book. So far they've gotten one body together, and we are almost done, probably a quarter way of the book. Like, I'm gonna go upstairs, make a coffee, and probably finish this in the next hour. So I'm surprised that that is such a big part of the synopsis and what I thought was going to be a large part of the story, and it's barely happened. But because people are dying at the hospitals, the common man, they're going missing, they're dying, they don't know what's going on. Jack was like, hey, I have some friends that maybe could use a doctor and don't want to go to the public hospital. So she, Hazel, is helping them because she's home alone right now. So that's added an interesting twist to the story that I didn't expect. And then, of course, there's this romance thread that is briefly explored, and there's a little side thing where she's been betrothed to someone since she was born, basically. We're kind of getting parts of that, and I'm waiting for something to come out for that because it kind of feels weird. It feels a little bit out of place. I get that it makes sense because it's the 19th century. She would be poor if she didn't marry a man, so it makes sense that it's a part of the story, but it's such a small part that when it comes up, it feels a little bit out of place. I actually think that this would be good if there was no romance at all. I think it's interesting that it is exploring this thing of rich women and poor man fall in love. I think that's always an interesting concept. It's just being done a little bit odd, in my opinion. So still not my favorite book, but I am liking a lot more than I was. I have no idea at this point what my rating will be, but I'm gonna go make a coffee, get a snack, and finish this. Just forgot to mention in my update, I'm just about to start reading again. The perspective switching is bothering me. For the first half of the book, I would say it alternates, or you know exactly whose point of view you're reading from between Hazel and Jack. And now that they know each other, it switches throughout the chapter, and it's not a very clean switch. Sometimes all of a sudden you're in Hazel's head when you were just in Jack's head, and I don't prefer that unless it's done really well. And in this one, it's not. Just thought I'd add that. Now I'm gonna read. So I finished anatomy a few hours ago already, and I still am a little bit torn on my rating. Oh, it's either a really high 3 or a really low 3.5. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 because I liked it and I want to continue the series. There's just one more book. It went in a different way than I was expecting. I have this note on my phone that just said, foreshadowing, not subtle. I'm thinking I fell for things I shouldn't have. Like, I don't really stand by that note anymore. Half of it, yes. I don't think there's subtlety enough in this book. There could be more things that are like alluded to instead of just outright obvious. But then there's other things that I was not expecting. And it says anatomy, a love story. I don't call it a love story. I call it a feminist story, to be honest with you. That includes love, because she's choosing the love that she wants, and that's feminism, but it is about Hazel. It's not about Jack. I stand by what I said about the confusion with when their POVs kind of mixed. It happened right near the end again, where we were in Hazel's POV, and then as soon as she met with Jack, it switched to his and then back to hers, and I was just confused. I don't think I have much else to add, but I did like it. 3.5 is not a bad rating, and I am going to read the second book, and I think I'll read it sooner now that I know it's just a duology and it stops after that. Let's choose a second prompt for this video. That one doesn't feel right. Let's go here. Last alphabetically on your TBR. So I have an S. Oh, shit. There is a 99% chance that it is Villette. Yep, it is. Should I go with my Kindle just in case? I'm just saying this because this is by Charlotte Bronte. It is a classic. It is a long classic. I enjoy classics. I really do. They take me a long time to read. And I really would like to finish this video on time so that I can edit it before I go on my trip instead of doing it while I'm away, because I would like to post it while I'm away. We're gonna go on my Kindle just to check. V is real late in that alphabet though. Kindle book that is last alphabetically is You Shouldn't Be Here, which is on my May TBR, and it is May. So we're gonna be reading You Shouldn't Be Here by Lauren Tommen? So I will bring that to bed with me. Let's do a small update. I am about 80 pages, 11 chapters, 20% into You Shouldn't Be Here. And I am conflicted because I thought it started really well. I only read like 20 pages yesterday before bed. And then Zach was like, "What's your book about?" And I said, "A ghost?"
Paper, snow, a ghost.
I thought it was going to be really good. And now that I'm about 80 pages in, I'm not bored. I am thinking when I got to 20%, I was like, okay, I only have to do this 4 more times. That's not how I want to read a book or to enjoy a book. So I'm not going to DNF it yet, but I am just a little bit, I don't know what the word is. I just don't really care. I don't really care what happens. So we have Angie, who is a high school student, I think, and she hears a woman singing and the shower on in her house all the time, like every night, and no one else hears it. She's even trying to record it. It's not working. Then we have Madeline, who just moved to town. She started her job as a teacher and then finds out that her cousin went missing. And so she kind of moves to town to do her own digging because there's this man who basically runs the whole town, and she is renting from him because she didn't really have another option but to rent from him. And he is a racist, sexist, homophobe so far. We don't know much about him, but that's what we know. There's just some drama. I'm so curious where the ghost comes in. It's just gonna be Madeline with this creepy guy, I guess. I'm not sure. I just don't know if I care. I read 1 more chapter of You Shouldn't Be Here, and I'm DNFing it. I don't care. I started skimming. I was like, I don't care at all about what happens. I don't even feel the need to Google it. So I'm gonna choose a new prompt. Now I feel like maybe I should have read Villette. Probably would have been easier to get through. So let's choose a new one. New release. I might have to put this one back. I don't think I have a new release, and like I said, I'm not buying a book. 2025. I don't think anything on my TBR card. It's going to be 2026, so I'm going to put this back in there, and I'm going to save that for an actual TBR month. You know, when I have time to pick something up. Let's try again. A favorite author's debut. I don't think I can do that either. Let's try again. This is going to be harder than I thought. Start a new series. Oh no. Okay, I have options. with start a new series. I just don't want to start a new series. Should we look at the options? We can do The Many Lives and Secret Sorrows of Josephine B., One Dark Window, The Bone Season, Powerless, The Book of Asriel. So historical fiction and fantasy. I would love to read a fantasy book, if I'm being completely honest. That's probably what I'm going to do. I'm thinking, just to get into something easy that I think I will like, I think I'm gonna go with Powerless. I really didn't want to start a new series yet, but that's okay. The prompts have spoken. I'm gonna head back outside on the deck and I'm gonna read Powerless, and I'm gonna forget that this happened. Sorry, not good.
Hi guys, it's Friday, which means it's a few days later.
I read like the first chapter the last time I talked to you, and then I didn't read for a day. And then yesterday I read up to page 74, but I started at 9 p.m. and then I couldn't put the book away for an hour. And then I went to sleep, and now all I want to do is read, but it's Friday and I work today. But I have an hour until I start, so I will be reading while I eat breakfast and have my coffee, because I think that this book has a wonderful setup. I like the magic situation. I like our main character, Peyton. I like Kai. I like that they are both morally gray. I think that is missing from a lot of books lately. So I'm really enjoying it. If you don't know anything about this book, Peyton lives in the slums in this kingdom where everybody has powers. So you can have mundane powers, which are just like very basic, and then you can have really good powers, which I think they mostly call offensive or defensive powers. I could be wrong about that. And if they're really good powers, your family is probably an elite, because it's been a few decades since they've gotten rid of all the ordinaries. And now Kai's job, one of the princes, is to hunt down ordinaries and banish families who break the law by harboring ordinaries. And Peyton is an ordinary, and she pretends to be a psychic because she's really good at reading people, and she's a really good thief. Kai's power is to use everybody else's power around him, so he can choose if there's someone around him who's really strong, he can get their strength. If there's someone who can climb a wall, he can climb a wall. If there's someone who can wield fire, he can wield fire. You get the gist. So he meets Peyton, and he is attracted to her, but he's also like, I don't feel her power. And everyone knows that this is his power, so she knows that he can use powers, but she's like, I'm a weak psychic, but I can tell you this and this and this and this, and reads his body cues and his clothes to tell him something. He's like, oh, but he's still like, why can't I feel her powers? That's kind of the point that I'm at, and it's quite good. But there is, what do they call it? It's going to be on the back. Purging trials. It's like the Hunger Games in that sense, where the king says, this is for the people. I'm doing this for the people to celebrate getting rid of the ordinaries and being a powerful place. So they assume that everyone in these trials has powers. I'm not even sure what they'll entail yet. So I am going to read for an hour while I have some oatmeal and some coffee. I am just over halfway through Powerless, so I figured it was time for an update. They've just done their first trial. It takes about a week, and then I think they're out for a week and then go back in for a week. And it's like an on and off thing, which is kind of interesting because they came out wanting to kill each other, and now they just have to live amongst each other for a week without killing each other. Otherwise, I think they're breaking a law or something. I am enjoying this book, but I think I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I don't know that I believe the tension in the relationship, and there is a bit of a love triangle, which is my least favorite thing in the world, even though you know who the main romance is because they're the only two POVs you get in the book. So that's my least favorite part right now, is this love triangle situation that doesn't always exist. I hope that it becomes a friendship, but I'm thinking it's going to be more of a she slights him, it becomes the thing that makes him evil thing, like a villain. But I hope not, because I do like him right now. I just don't feel their chemistry. It doesn't exist. She doesn't feel it either, so it's like not really a love triangle, but she's also maybe leading him on a little bit, but I don't think she is. I don't know. Anyway, that is also my way of saying that this book is not really... I know it's a romantasy. The romance is hot and heavy in this. The fantasy is kind of taking a backseat through most of it, even though they're in this deathly trial. The romance kind of trumps all of it, and I wish there was a little bit more about the special powers that everybody has and these trials, because they are deadly trials, like they're high stakes, and I just wish that there was a little bit more of that, because I do love that side of it. I love the idea of the magic and the elites versus the ordinaries and the secret that she's been hiding the whole time. I think that it's a good book. I am just underwhelmed, like I said. I wish I wanted to pick it up more. I do find myself reaching for my phone, even though it's bricked and I can't do anything on it. So that, to me, is not a sign of a gripping book. That's my little halfway update. I will let you know probably when I'm done, unless something crazy happens before that, and I feel like I need to talk about it. Okay, I am 4 days away from flying out, and I need to finish this book and read another one. And when I'm reading this book, I don't want to stop. But when I haven't read from it yet today, I don't really want to pick it up. So I think I'm going to do what I said I wouldn't, and I am going to use my Spotify audiobook minutes to listen to this book. And I'm going to start packing for my trip because we're gone tomorrow night, I'm gone Thursday night, and we'll see how it goes. Just letting you know that I will be listening to the audiobook. Okay, I listened to the audiobook for maybe 5 chapters. And then I kept reading, so I just read for about an hour. I think I'm giving this 3 stars. I think I went in with too high of expectations. Everybody that I personally know who has read this and everybody who I watch on YouTube who gave reviews that I often agree with their book taste gave it 4 to 5 stars. So I was expecting the same for me, and I think that if you have tension for 400 plus pages, that's too much. The tension starts to go away because I know exactly what's going to happen for their conversations. I will say it again. This is more a romance than it is a fantasy. The romance is so heavy and the fantasy is the way to get the plot moving. And I liked the fantasy aspect of it. And I think if it was more about the trials and the fantasy, this probably would have been a higher rating. I love a sarcastic, tall, dark, handsome character, but for some reason it just fell a little flat for me. I like Kai, I like Peyton. I'm not sure what fell flat for me. 3 stars is not a bad rating, but it's not a great rating. And I think if I would have read it in 2 to 3 days, maybe I would have liked it more, but also I didn't want to, which tells me I didn't love it. I do still want to read the rest of the series. I for sure would like to read the novella next because I think it's going to give me a lot of feelings. I think I also wish that the side characters were mentioned more. I know that the novella is from the perspective of a side character. I think they could have had a little bit more screen time. I think they could have had a little bit more book time. Even when people were coming in with their specialties, I was like trying to remember who they were. And Blair is supposed to be kind of a villain character, an anti-hero, and I didn't dislike her because there wasn't enough of her. Maybe a page here and there about how rude she was, and that was kind of it. So I think it was just missing something for me. Maybe it just feels under-edited. Like, I think you could have cut out 100 pages of stuff that didn't really matter. I would have liked their relationship more if there was less of it. We are kind of bombarded with this relationship. I didn't feel enough for it because everything was just always there and it was always being talked about and it was never missing from the story. I did enjoy it. I did like it. I don't regret reading it. I like our main characters. I like the fantasy aspect of this story. I don't know what else to say other than that. So this is a 3 star. It is dinner time. I'm gonna eat dinner. I probably won't start another book tonight. We'll see. Let's take a prompt. Eeny meeny. Fun. Okay. Is that good? Can you see all of them? I'm wearing a skirt, I promise. Okay, eeny meeny miny mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If he... Is that how you do it? No, you do it with syllables, don't you? Eeny meeny miny mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny meeny miny mo. My mother says to pick the very best one, and you are it. That was fun. I could do that every time. All right, we're reading The Eights. I'm excited to read this book. This is a historical fiction. It is feminist literature. I believe it's women going to Oxford. For the first time in its 1,000-year history, the world's most famous university has admitted female students. Zach got me this for Christmas and I haven't read it yet. Historical fiction I love, especially if it is feminist. This is the 3rd and final book for this video. The Eights by Joanna Miller. I am 134 pages, about to start chapter 14, and I have 48 hours before the trip. So I am hoping to finish this today. It's 5:30 p.m., just ate dinner. I am going to listen to the audiobook for a little bit while I do what I need to do, go through my to-do list before the trip, hopefully read the rest of the evening. The audiobook on Spotify is only 10 hours, and I'm already almost halfway into the book, and I listen at like 1.8 times speed. Even with just the audiobook, there's a good chance I can do it, and that tells me I usually read faster than I listen, so that tells me I can do it today. I think I already explained when I chose this book that it is 1920 Oxford. We have 4 women who live in Corridor 8, and they're called the Eights, and every group of women who goes to Oxford in 1920 is told to like stick with their corridor for the first few weeks until they get their bearings, and these 4 women have continued to stay friends past that point, and now other people on campus, I guess, are calling them the Eights. It is a big deal because they are the first freshman women who were admitted knowing that they would come out with a degree, even though there are other older women there who now are able to get a degree, and women have gotten it, what do you call that when you get it after the fact? Retrospectively, but that's not the right word. Okay, so you have Beatrice. She is an only child. Her mother is a suffragette, so she grew up as a feminist with a feminist woman in her life, but she knows that her mom actually never really wanted kids, so she probably didn't really want her. I think her childhood was pretty rough. We have a couple of flashbacks in this book just to kind of give you a little bit of a sense of their personality now as like 20-year-olds, but she, I think, in adulthood is the most herself. She finds it difficult to make friends, and she is very happy that she is friends with these 3 other women, even though they're all very different from one another. Then you have Marianne, who is also an only child. Her mom died in childbirth, giving birth to her. Her dad is a pastor, and she has a secret, and we don't know what it is, but she's going home every 2 weeks to help her father write his sermons and kind of help him around the house, she says, but I think that there's more to it than that. She's pretty quiet and shy. That's kind of all we know. And then you have Otto, and she is, I think, the rich one. There's Otto and Dora, and honestly, I keep getting them confused. I think Otto is one of 4 sisters, or has 4 sisters or something like that, and she is a little bit more spoiled, but she also is the most outspoken and kind of leads this group of 4 women. And then Dora is only allowed to go to Oxford from her parents because her older brother passed away, and he was in Oxford before he passed away during the war, and her fiance also died 2 weeks before her brother, actually. So she's there grieving these men in her life post-war, and just, they're all kind of seeing signs of the war everywhere, and there are some really good quotes in here already about feminism. Despite her own pride, she cannot help but imagine herself the winner of a relay race, being congratulated even though she only took the baton the last few feet over the line. A lot about that, coming to terms with the fact that they get to go to Oxford, so they feel like they can't complain about things, but also they're complaining about things because the rules are very strict for women still. It's good. I'm having a good time. It's very slice of life, I think, more than I was expecting and more than I would like. It's very much their day-to-day and less about the big picture. I wish that there was more time spent on their friendships together, the Eights as a group, because it just seems kind of surface right now. So I'm hoping it goes a little bit deeper, but other than that, I'm having a good time. Just like slightly bored sometimes, but I think that's because I want to be getting ready for my trip and my brain is like not 100% here when I'm just reading. So that's why I'm going to put in the audiobook. I'm going to do as much as I can today beforehand while listening to it, and then yeah, like I said, I'll switch to reading. I'll let you know probably final thoughts unless something big comes up in the meantime. So I have finished the Eights. I did what I set out to do. I finished it before we leave on our trip tomorrow so I can start editing this video early. I liked this book. It was fine. I do really appreciate the slice of life of it and the girlhood, and it kind of reminds me of the movie Now and Then, just like 50 years earlier. That movie is about 4 girls just like being friends and making it through life, and they're all very different from each other, and it really reminded me of that. Most of my favorite films have light plot. They are kind of just day-to-day experiences of people who live life different than I do. It can be day-to-day at work or at school, and I love films like that, but I think books, it's a little bit harder for me to get into it because there's too many hours dedicated to that being the whole purpose. So I think that maybe that's what was missing for me. There was just something missing to make the plot a little bit more gripping. It just fell flat a little bit for me. I liked the peek into the social history and that it was more about the girls than anything else. It really just was a story of these 4 women at this point in history. I did really like it. I didn't love any of our characters specifically, which also maybe could have been a problem. And maybe that's just because we didn't actually get to know them all that well. Not well enough. I think that there was something more that I could have got from the characters. The flashbacks helped, and the way that they communicated with one another was wonderful. But yeah, it was just lacking something. It was interesting to see how much has changed and how much hasn't. That finishes this week of reading from prompts, which actually took a lot longer than a week. I just have been too busy and stressed out. But I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I got some books off of my TBR. Unfortunately, nothing was above a 3.5, which is a little bit sad, but that's okay. I'm happy to see this one go on my shelf though. I'm happy to expand my historical fiction shelf. I don't even know if I can fit it actually. It goes right up there at the top. It's full. Unless I pick up those books that are sideways. I'll have to figure that out. I have already filmed my June TBR, so you guys will see that next week if you subscribe and stick around. And then after that, there will be a May diaries, which will include everything of this trip that I'm going on. So, you know, come back if you're interested. Don't if you're not. That's fine too. Thanks for coming and sticking around this time. Bye.